What up, world? It's your boy Amp Dog with another episode of Politickin. Want to thank everybody for tuning in, showing your love, and make sure y'all hit that like, share, and subscribe button and tell a friend. Big Amp Dog said, what's the deal? What up, world? It's your boy Amp Dog back with another episode of Politickin. Want to thank everybody for tuning in, showing your love, and make sure you tap that like, share, subscribe button and tell a friend. Big Amp Dog said, what's the deal? And today, we gotta talk about this situation with Fat Joe, man. He has just been named in a 157-page filed RICO. It's civil, but yeah, he's been accused of this by his former hype man, who alleges the rapper engaged in acts with minors and coerced him into more than 4,000 sexual acts to maintain his standing. Now, I don't know what it is, but it's starting to seem like a lot of these people that was back in that era, a little kinky, man. I ain't gonna lie. But, of course, we do want to get a disclosure that, Fat Joe is innocent until proven guilty or otherwise. At the end of the day, I do want to give, my opinion on the state of what the culture is with these allegations and these lawsuits that's coming out. Still, nobody's going to the police. This is all money grabs, and this one is probably a bigger case of a money grab that I've noticed in the recent times. We got Shannon Sharp. That one it seems to be a money grab, but he also played a part in, putting himself in that position, I would say. But with this Fat Joe hype man, Terrence T.A. Dixon, he filed an explosive lawsuit in federal court against the rapper on Thursday. Dixon is alleging that his former boss, whose real name is Joseph Antonio Cartagena, engaged in coercive labor exploitation, financial fraud, sexual manipulation, violent intimidation, psychological coercion. Dixon adds that the hip-hop star behind certain chart topper songs, What's Love, he basically got rich and famous while he and his associates deliberately suppressed silence and erased Dixon's substantial creative, artistic, and commercial contributions, which were foundational to Fat Joe's professional success and personal brand. He is seeking up to $20 million in damages. So, again, Fat Joe sued this man first. So this could be retaliatory. But let's get into some of the details, and then we'll unpack what we discover in this. So it's a 157-page document. For 16 years, Dixon served as Fat Joe's so-called hype man, a common figure in hip-hop. He also contributed as a lyricist and background vocalist on such hits as Congratulations, Ice Cream, and Money Over Bees. According to the complaint, he had an unrivaled vantage point to observe the rapper's offstage lifestyle and behavior. And we should note also, Dixon is being represented by Tyrone Blackburn. He's the one who was also spearheading the Little Rodney lawsuit that people are essentially saying is the start or the beginning of the start or the beginning of the end of Diddy in his situation that he's in. So Dixon states in his complaint that Fat Joe forced him into humiliating situations, including acts performed under duress and surveillance, accompanied by threats of abandonment in foreign countries if he refused compliance. By his own estimation, Dixon states in the suit that he was coerced into more than 4,000 sexual acts to maintain his standing with the enterprise. And you see the triggering words that they're using: enterprise, coercion. These are a lot of things that we've been hearing in these RICO trials or just federal abuse cases, Most shockingly, the suit claims that Dixon personally witnessed Fat Joe engage in sexual relations with children who were 15 and 16 years old, and lists 3 such Jane Does, including a 16-year-old Dominican girl in New York, who in exchange for cash, clothing, and payment of her cell phone bill would perform fellatio and other sexual acts on the rapper. Minor Doe 2 is a Caucasian female and not a United States citizen. Fat Joe began having sexual relations with minor Doe 2 when she was 15 years old after a concert overseas. Defendant flew minor Doe 2 to New York City and Miami, Florida on multiple occasions. Due to minor Doe's 2 body being adolescent and not fully formed, defendant paid for her to get a Brazilian butt lift. Minor Doe 2 eventually left the defendant, is now married to a professional athlete. So we gotta wonder, and I know different countries are different, but she's 15. How was she able to get flown out to New York and Miami and all these things? So that's a little wild. But mind you, this is coming from his former hype man, employee, entourage member. This is a person that's detailing crimes that he knew about over these last 16, 20 years that he'd been dealing with Fat Joe. So this is where we draw that fine line between, is he a victim or is he an accomplice? You know what I'm saying? So at this point, is kind of giving me the vibe that that dude could be just mad about whatever, and now he want to spill the beans, but he's not realizing how he should very well be charged as well. You know what I'm saying? Because now I'm starting to wonder if some of those forced X acts that he said Fat Joe coerced him into or pressured him into doing, are minor children involved in that too? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's crazy. So she's married to a professional athlete, the complaint says. Minor Doe 3 is a Latina female who met the defendant when she was 15 years old, turning 16. And how do he know this? Like, so you knew about this, but you didn't have the decency to want to protect these children from this type of abuse. Defendant was in love with minor Doe 3. He even contemplated leaving his wife. I don't know. I mean, I guess this is why you got to be careful what you do and how you do it, around who you do it. You know, because I just can't imagine Fat Joe would be sharing these type of details. Like, man, this 15-year-old bro, I love her. I want to leave my wife for her. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. And then it says the defendant paid all the minor Doe 3's bills, even took her overseas to his tour stops. Now, what kind of bills do a 15-year-old got? You know, so I don't know. It just and don't get me wrong. I think a lot of these things that we starting to see, that depending on who the attorney is, could automatically sway a person's initial perspective on these things, you know. So me knowing how Tyrone Blackburn was, and he was, you know, scounded by the judge about his way that he does everything, his ethics and everything like that, to where it's kind of hard to think that this is a sincere, hey, I've been blind, now I can see, I want to tell my truth and all that. It's kind of hard to get that vibe right now. He brought her to Florida and would put her up in a condo he rented a few blocks from his house with his wife, the lawsuit states. In a recorded conversation, minor Doe 3 and her 15-year-old cousin described in detail to plaintiff how inappropriate it was for a defendant, who was in his late 30s at the time, to be fawning over children. So this is what the 15 and 16-year-old is saying to the plaintiff. So the guy, the hype man, T.A. Dixon, he's on a phone call with these young girls. That's just, I don't know, man. That's not natural, I would guess, you know. And Fat Joe is represented by celebrity attorney Joe Tacopina. You know, he defended ASAP Rocky and got him acquitted. You know what I'm saying? He said he had a prop gun. So Fat Joe might, if we going off of the basis of the attorneys, Fat Joe, he up one right now. You know what I'm saying? They say this lawsuit filed by Tyrone Blackburn and Terrence Dixon is a blatant act of retaliation, a desperate attempt to deflect attention from the civil suit we filed first, which exposed their coordinated scheme to extort Mr. Cartagena through lies, threats, and manufactured allegations. Law enforcement is aware of the extortionate demand at the heart of this scheme. The allegations against Mr. Cartagena are complete fabrication lies intended to damage his reputation and force a settlement through public pressure. Mr. Cartagena will not be intimidated. We have taken legal action to expose this fraudulent campaign and hold everyone involved accountable. So I gotta give it to Fat Joe. Fat Joe, I don't know if it's the Ozempic or whatever, but you starting off in the right foot. You giving me that Jay-Z going versus Tony Busby vibe, which is good. Because if you innocent, do not stand back and allow it to happen, and definitely try to pursue the right ramifications and legal steps and actions to make these people that can just go, anybody could file a lawsuit, like I say. So what we want to be able to do is, if you're lying, get held accountable for your actions and the damages that you're causing on people that honestly didn't do nothing to you. You know what I'm saying? Whether you felt like you needed to get a raise or whatever. So I will say, yeah, fight back, man. If you ain't do it, fight back. Defendants in the suit also include Pistol Pete Torres and Richard Rich player Jaspetier, who the complaint refers to as key associates in Fat Joe's criminal enterprise, asserting civil claims for violations of the Trafficking Victims Protection Act and Racketeering, Influence, and Corruption Organizations Acts, also known as the Civil RICO, as well as related violations under New York and Florida law, including unjust enrichment, quantum merit, no, fraudulent concealment, fraud, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and money laundering. Of course, you know, he's naming Jay-Z, Rock Nation, claiming that the company, which represents Fat Joe, knowingly participated in concealing, transferring, and manipulating Dixon's authorship rights and royalty interests, and sought to intimidate, harass, and obstruct the hype man's legitimate claims against Fat Joe, Torres, and Jaspetier. According to the lawsuit, the defendants engaged in deliberate tax fraud schemes in the effort to conceal their extensive wage theft, artificially inflate Dixon's tax liabilities, expose him to unwarranted tax audits and penalties, systematically obscure the exploited labor. The complaint cites a whistleblower account who came forward last year, as well as a recorded phone call that helped paint the picture of the alleged misdeeds. So Fat Joe had just recently sued this dude in April for slandering him on social media. Um, this the right way to do it, though. I honestly think you got to fight back, you know, because if not, you know, we didn't. That's the old way of doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to say Jay-Z probably the first one to spearhead this new approach of how you deal with, you know, lawsuits, allegations, you know, falsehoods as far as, you know, your actions and abuses and things like that. So, you know, back in the day, everybody used to feel like, nah, just be quiet, don't say nothing. You know what I mean? But sometimes you gotta speak out and fight for yourself. Um, Dixon's suit against Fat Joe goes much further than his social media posts and states that he endured a wide spectrum of sexual coercion, psychological control, forced exhibitionism, and surveillance based humiliation, including being compelled to perform sexual acts under observation, being filmed or directed by Fat Joe in the presence of others. So, you a grown man. What my boy Reggie say? It's a grown man, chat. A grown ass man. How are you letting somebody dictate and control your actions? And this is the problem with being able to jump out there with these lawsuits, because it's like, you, like I said, it's a thin line between that victim and that accomplice. You know what I'm saying? Like when things was going good, you ain't had no problem doing this and doing that. Cause I mean, I can't imagine Fat Joe was just paying you, you know, at a ridiculous amount of money to where it was like, hey man, this is worth it. You know what I'm saying? I can't imagine that. Just because shoot, we didn't heard plenty of stories about how Fat Joe, he don't pay Big Pun's people, you know what I'm saying? His family, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, just that's all alleged, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know how much further in his career he was planning on or expecting Fat Joe to carry him, you know what I mean? And this is another thing about some of these people is just they looking for a quick handout, a quick payday, you know what I'm saying? Now you got to just work hard, man. Some of these people work real hard to get where they at, you know. But it says these sex-based abuses were not private, incidental, or isolated. They were in, they were integral. They were integral to the enterprise's culture of dominance and humiliation enforced by defendants associates such as Pistol Pete, JB, and others, is sustained across numerous tour locations, including Miami, North Carolina, Germany, Spain, and Wisconsin. Um, yeah, man. I'm gonna be real. Dixon, you need to go to jail. I don't want to read no more of the details he got because it's a lot of gross stuff um, as far as dealing with minors and stuff like that, which you would hope is not true. You gotta hope it's not true. You know what I'm saying? Because Fat Joe, regardless of who it is, you know what I'm saying? When it comes down to children, um, abuse, women, taking advantage of women, and men too, you know what I'm saying? We got to start taking these things a lot more serious, but we also got to make sure that the pendulum swings to who's right versus who's wrong. So if this lawsuit holds no merit, it goes no further, or dude takes a settlement, um, is that all it takes? Like, what about? Because he's trying to give it off as if I'm getting everything off my heart. I'm trying to right my wrongs, speak my truth, protect these victims. You know what I'm thinking? Speak up for these victims and stuff like that. To where, you know, if it's all about the money, man, we got to do something to govern this filing lawsuits. And no, you before you could do something like this, you gotta go file a literal criminal complaint with the police, the authorities. If you can go into that federal building and file this lawsuit, you could go talk to an FBI agent and let them know what's going on and that you want to pursue charges criminally, press them, and that'll make me believe, hey man, give him 20 million. He deserved that. He's really a victim. But the fact that these people will not go to the police first, and first thing that they do is, hey man, I watched all these heinous crimes, y'all. It's a bunch of crimes I watched, y'all. But look, just give me 20 million and shoot, I'll sign the NDA. I ain't got to talk about it no more. Nah, man, we gotta start holding these people feet to fire just the same way that we would have these allegations ring true, So it's still a process, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna see how it go. Fat Joe got that new podcast with him and Jadakiss, so we're gonna see. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Is this just another money grab, or is Fat Joe the creep that this guy's trying to paint him out to be? You know what I mean? But I do think this dude should be held accountable. If there is any type of, because we seen the low lawsuits that was happening against Diddy that formed into a federal RICO criminally. So if something like that is to transpire in this situation, T.A. Dixon need to be right alongside Fat Joe, because he talking about some stuff that he was a part of, privy to, knew about, that dealt with salacious crimes with minors, and never said anything about it until you won a $20 million lawsuit. So we gotta we gotta do better, y'all. But let me know what y'all think in the comments, man. As always, protect yourself, protect your family, and protect your peace. Peace. What up, world? It's your boy Amp Dog with another episode of Politickin. Want to thank everybody for tuning in, showing your love, and make sure y'all hit that like, share, and subscribe button, and tell a friend. Big Amp Dog said, what's the deal?